Imagine your airport and travel day experience being one that does not include waiting in long lines, paying for overpriced meals, and sitting in crowded airport terminals. If that sounds enticing, keep listening to find out how that can be possible for you. Welcome to the Travel Hacking Mom Show. We are three moms who've discovered how to leverage credit card welcome offers to get hundreds of thousands of dollars in travel expenses for nearly free. We've used credit card points and miles to take vacations to places like Hawaii, Paris, Greece, the Maldives, Italy, and so much more. And the best part? We each still have an 800 plus credit score. Imagine being able to book a vacation without having to check your bank account. It's totally possible, and we're here to show you how. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Pam, Alex's mom.
And I'm Jess. We are Travel Hacking Moms. Today, we are talking all about how you can make your airport and travel days so much better and avoid much of the stress that usually comes with airports and flying just by taking advantage of credit card benefits. Some of you probably even have access to some of these benefits, and you may not even know it yet. So stay tuned while we get started with a few of our favorite benefits that we use to make our travel days so much better. So I'm going to kick it off with TSA PreCheck. And if you don't know what TSA PreCheck is, it is basically the expedited security screening when you leave the United States. So it's the line that you may have seen at the airport where you can go and you do not have to take off your shoes. You don't have to take your computer out of your bag. Those are my favorite personal reasons for using PreCheck. I don't know about y'all, but not having to take my shoes off.
Same. I love not having to take my shoes off and taking my liquids.
Yes.
I love not having to remove those from my bag and just knowing okay, everything's in my bag. I'm putting it on that little conveyor belt without digging through it and finding everything and taking it all out. And the terrible thing about when you fly international is that's not something that you have. You have to go through security the normal way. And I really am always disappointed. I'm oh, I have to take off my shoes this time. I have to take my stuff out. It's kind of a bummer.
We just came back from the UK and they are very particular about liquids.
But I was just traveling home I had a layover in London, and I had plenty of time between my flight, and I was worried I was going to miss my flight. There was nobody in the pre-check line. It was just me, but I had forgot on my other flight, I stuck my water bottle in my carry-on suitcase. Oh my goodness. They had to take every little thing out of my bag and go through all the security stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I forgot that, because I kind of pride myself on how fast I can get through security. And the other people don't know it. The other people in line at the airport with me don't know, but I'm kind of racing them. And so I was so disappointed in myself that I had forgot that I had a water bottle in there. Luckily, I made it through my flight, but it was really not very fun.
Yeah, I am spoiled by PreCheck, and going through security in the UK was absolutely brutal, and I was really missing my PreCheck at that point.
I had the craziest story, you guys. So, Alex, I don't even know if you know this, but my husband doesn't have TSA PreCheck.
What?
Yes. No, this is nuts. So this is, a little bit about this. So my husband's name is Lee and his middle name is Clarence. He thought that was his real name his whole life. He went to get his first passport and found out that it was Clarence Lee. But meanwhile, his license has all been under Lee Clarence. That's what he goes by. And so he can't get it because his name and his passport names don't match.
Oh.
And he needs to go change his name, and he just hasn't done it yet. But let me just tell you that when we go through an airport, I go through TSA PreCheck, and then I don't even wait on the other side for him because it takes him so much longer. I just say, I'll see you in the lounge, or I'll see you at the gate.
I am the same way. I'm a ditcher. I will ditch you if you do not have PreCheck.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to get into some details of the cost and what it includes and all that. So PreCheck cost $78 for 5 years. So these, a lot of the ones we're going to talk about, like PreCheck and Global Entry, are good for 5 years. So you pay the $78 one-time fee, and then you have PreCheck for 5 years, and then after that's up, you would have to renew it. The nice thing about PreCheck is that children 12 and under don't need to apply for it as long as they're traveling with a parent or a guardian who has PreCheck. So, Alex, I'm assuming for you, you and your husband both have PreCheck, and so all 4 of your boys can go through the PreCheck line with you. You do not have to pay $78 for each of them.
Yep, exactly. You got it right.
The other cool thing about PreCheck that I just discovered recently, because Pam, I'm the same way. We are going to Hawaii with my mom in a few weeks, and I straight up told her, if you do not get PreCheck, I am leaving you. Like, Molly and I are going in the PreCheck line, and you will be alone by yourself I'm not taking my shoes off.
Top love.
So we discovered though that you can enroll for PreCheck on the Staples website, and you can make an appointment on the Staples website and go in person to complete your TSA PreCheck enrollment. I had no idea about that
I didn't know
until
either.
we looked into it.
Yeah, that's amazing because when I did it, I had to drive to the airport, which is like not down the street from where I live. So that's amazing.
Wait,
Yeah,
do
so
you do and do you go to Staples for the?
you go to Staples for the appointment.
I thought you just meant that you enrolled on the Staples thing, but going into a Staples, everybody has a Staples near them. That is amazing.
Yeah. So basically, we just filled out the application on their website, and then it prompted us to schedule an appointment at a Staples. And so she just scheduled the appointment, and there were tons of appointments available. She scheduled an appointment at the Staples near her house for the next week. And so she was able to go and get everything done within a week. And she had PreCheck, and she sent me the number, and I entered it on all her flights. And so now we can all go through the PreCheck line together, and all is well.
I love it.
Well, I'm really glad you're not leaving a grandma behind, because I think that would just be rude.
I know. I felt a little bad, but I was like, you really need to do this. So that lit the fire under her, and now she's good for 5 years. So yeah, so that is a really cool thing about PreCheck. I'm going to talk about global entry in a little bit, and it is definitely not that easy to get enrolled in global entry. The other nice thing, the TSA website actually has a section of their website that lists all of the credit cards that come with a TSA PreCheck credit, and there are dozens of them. We're just going to talk about a few of our favorites, like the ones that we have used to get the credit, and those are the Capital One Venture and Venture X, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Southwest Performance Business Card. I just got a Southwest Performance Business Card recently because I was working on the Companion Pass. I know a lot of you probably were or are working on the Companion Pass, and so that's a really nice perk of that card. The United cards, the United Explorer card, the Quest, those both come with it too. So, like I said, you can go to the TSA website and see the full list of cards, but those are just ones that you'll hear us talk about pretty frequently and that you might already have.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, is I bet for some of you, you already have these cards. Honestly, whenever I go to the airport and I see the amount of people that are in the regular security line that are not going through TSA PreCheck, I'm always thinking, ooh, I bet you have a credit card. I can get you this for free. And you just don't know it. Like, part of me wants to tell them on, the other part of me is like, I don't really know if I want this line getting this out.
Right. And the other thing to note is that you do not have to use the credit for yourself. So if you are the main card holder, you just have to pay the fee with that card. The bank does not know whose fee you're paying. So I actually I already have global entry and PreCheck, so I used my credit from the Southwest Performance Business Card to pay for my mom's PreCheck. So I used my card, I charged it to that, I got reimbursed, she got PreCheck, we're all going to be one happy family in Hawaii, and it just works out really well. So I think now Alex is going to give us the rundown on Clear.
Yeah. So
this is like a relatively newer-ish one out of the ones we're discussing.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of confusion with what's the difference between Clear and TSA PreCheck, because both of them are going to get you through the security portion of your whole airport experience faster. And even myself, I remember when my mom had Clear and she was talking about it, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, why do you need this? You have TSA PreCheck. Like, what's the difference? And then I got it and I realized, oh, this is the difference. So, how Clear works is, here's the thing, you want to have Clear and TSA PreCheck together. If you have, you can just get Clear. And what that does is it will get you to the head of the airport security line. But if you have Clear and TSA PreCheck, you get the head of the TSA line and the airport security line. So it's just, you're just cutting a lot of people in line. I mean, you're not cutting them because you paid for it or your credit card did for you, but you just get even faster through the line. And I will tell you, my husband and I, we took the kids last year to Arizona and we were there. We did not know when we were there that there was this gigantic soccer tournament going on. And so it was over President's Weekend, a busier time. And we got back to the airport with what we thought was plenty of time. But the rental car, like, you had to take a shuttle to get from the airport or from the rental car return back to the airport. You guys, the line was insane. By the time we got to the terminal to check our bags, because we had to check a bag because we had all of the kids with us, we had 20 minutes till our flight was leaving. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to make it. But
I remember seeing your stories on Instagram about this whole saga, and I didn't want to text you because I was like, I don't want to like slow her down. I know that she's stressed. And so I'm just like watching I have my popcorn out and I'm just watching your stories. Like, what's going to happen?
you know
What's
what?
going to
Those
happen
were like
next?
some of the most watched stories I've ever posted, because I think everybody was like, what's going to happen? How are they going to make this flight? But
Because I think you posted a picture of the
I did.
line.
Yeah, I posted it.
And in my head, I was like, she's never going to make that flight. Like, there is no way
Well,
she's
you
making
could
that flight.
text me because I was doing nothing but sitting in that line stressing. But anyways, we get there, we check our bags, and I'm like, I guess we'll just see if our bag makes it home, whatever. Like, I didn't really have a choice because it was too big to be a carry-on. And so I will tell you this, we got on that plane, we got on our seats. The only reason we made that flight is because we had Clear with TSA PreCheck. The line was really long, but we got to Clear and literally we were the only ones there. So I literally told my husband afterwards, I'm like, we're always having Clear because that just saved us from missing this flight. And I had looked at the flights when we were in line waiting to get on that rental car. There were all the other flights on Southwest that day were totally booked. We would have had to stay the night, get a hotel, and go the next morning. It would have been a huge pain with all of the kids. So Clear was a lifesaver in that situation. So the price for a Clear membership is $189. But if you have a free United or a free Delta account, you can get it for $179. So not huge savings, but you might as well just save $10 by making it an account. But if you have status with Delta or United, or you have one of those credit cards, you can get it for $149. Now, where it really gets good is if you have an American Express personal card, or an American Express Platinum personal card, or a Business Platinum, or an American Express Green Card, you can get it for free. So you just pay for it on that card, and they will reimburse you that or give you a statement credit for that purchase. The nice thing about it is, like, for me, I am going to have it for myself regardless, but it's even better if I can get it for my husband. So it's just $60 to add somebody to your membership. And if you already have the credit with your American Express card, then it's only going to cost you $20 to get it for both of you, because you're going to be getting $189 back, $60 for your spouse. You're only out $20 for two of you. So I think it's well worth paying $20 for you and your player to both get Clear.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know Pam and I have talked before about how we will always have a United card because we both live in United hubs. And just by holding the United card, it opens up additional award space for you. And so this is just another reason why we will always have a United card, because that right there, just by holding the card, we get the Clear membership for $149 instead of $179.
We mean
So that's
$189.
basically
Yeah,
just
$179 because you would You had the free membership already. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if we just had a United membership, $179, which I highly encourage all of you listening, like the most you should ever pay for Clear is $179 because it is free to create a Delta account or a United account. But yeah, if you have the card, then that's an additional $30 off, brings it to $149. So in my mind, that's just like another $30 savings from having the United card that brings down the effective annual fee because I'm going to pay for Clear no matter what. So might as
Same.
well save that $30 by having the United card.
I totally agree. It's awesome.
Okay, so next up, another fantastic credit card benefit that you can enjoy is having airport lounge access. And the queen of airport lounges, Pam, she's known, and she will say it all the time, that she is a huge airport lounge geek. So I don't think there's anybody better to cover this than you.
I am the hugest airport lounge geek. It is one of those things that's part of my travel journey. I will make sure my daughters laugh at me because I will get to the airport 2 hours early to make sure I have time to go into the lounge, get something to drink, get some breakfast or lunch or dinner, and just kind of unwind. It's part of the journey for me. And the minute I know I'm going somewhere, I'm looking to see what lounges are at that particular airport that I have connections with. And I know my favorite ones. The really funny thing is I remember years ago seeing airport lounges, and you'd walk by and you kind of look at them and I think, oh, those are just for these really big businessmen that are traveling in
Yep.
first class all the time. And whoa, wouldn't that be so cool to be able to go into one of those? And now that's just the normal part of our experience. Airport lounges make traveling so much easier. Not only do I get to the airport 2 hours early, when I go to have a connecting flight, I can go to a lounge, I can get something to eat. I don't know when the last time was that I ever paid for food in an airport. I have been known to take extra clothes when I've had a really long flight. I go and I shower. I get, all cleaned up so I can, arrive at my destination ready to go. And it is just a game changer. It is one of my favorite parts about traveling. And one of the great things is that there are so many credit cards and credit cards that you may even have that give you access to the different lounges. Some of the credit cards that we use a lot that give airport lounge access are the American Express Personal Platinum Card and the Business Platinum Card. The Hilton Aspire card does. The Hilton Surpass card gives 10 visits to Priority Pass. The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant American Express card gives Priority Pass access. The Capital One Venture card gives Priority Pass access and also access to their Capital.
I was just thinking, I feel like I've never heard you so excited about anything than you are right now talking about lounges.
I love lounges. So the king of airport lounge card access.
Hey, hold on. I know what you're going to say. And I just want to say this is Pam's opinion.
Yeah.
I might disagree, but
Feel free to afterwards. But
Okay.
the king of cards, if you love airport lounges like Pam loves airport lounges, is to have the American Express Platinum Personal or Business Card. It gives you access to the most airport lounges around the world. You can go into American Express Centurion lounges. I have one in Denver where I fly out of, so of course it's a no-brainer for me to have that. You've got Priority Pass lounges that are all over the world. You've got the Delta Sky Club lounges, Plaza Premium lounges, Escape lounges. There are just so many different ways that you can get into a lounge with this card.
One thing I just wanted to bring up real quick is if you want to visit the Delta Sky Club with your American Express Platinum or Business Platinum card, you will need to be flying on a Delta flight. But otherwise, yes, that's really nice that you can access those Delta Sky Clubs when you're flying Delta with that card.
And that goes into why I am a real geek, is that I will go from Denver and I will travel United. I will go into my Denver American Express Centurion Lounge. But when I come back from visiting Alex in Salt Lake City, I always fly back on a Delta flight just so I can go into the Delta Sky Club in Salt Lake City because it is an amazing lounge. So you probably
It's over here laughing at how obsessed you are with lounges.
I am. I'm sorry.
It's only what people think when I talk about Hyatt. This is probably like
Probably is.
what I sound like. So I can relate. I can
Well, I
totally
just always think it's funny because, like, I have considered getting a platinum card because then I could go to the Delta Sky Club. I've never been to the Delta Sky Club in Salt Lake, and that's my home airport. But I'm also like, but I can just eat at home and then go to the airport later and not have to worry about finding a baby.
I
I do agree that there's something nice about getting to the airport early. And it's part of the whole not stress experience is you're there early. You're not having to worry about missing your flight. Because I honestly think that's one of the worst feelings is when you're on your way to the airport and you're like, am I going to get there in time? Am I going to have time? So if you can go early, go relax at the lounge before your flight, you're just so much more relaxed. So I totally, totally get it. And I might be convincing myself as I'm saying this that maybe I should get that card so I can start doing that.
The food, some of them are really good. For instance, your Delta Sky Club, great food. American Express Centurion Lounges have really good food. Now, I would say that most of the Priority Pass lounges are just okay food. I haven't been overly impressed with very many of them. You can get 2 United Club passes if you have the United Explorer card. And they're okay too, but they're still not some of my favorites.
I feel like the United Clubs are kind of hit and miss. Like I've been to some that I'm very underwhelmed. And then I went to the one at LAX and I was like, this is really nice. Like they had some really nice food there. And so I just think they're just kind of hit or miss.
Right. One of the lounges that we really like, and unfortunately there's only one so far, but they are building one in Denver, are the Capital One lounges. And if you have the Capital One card, you get 2 passes. If you have the Capital One Venture X card, you can go in there as many times as you want when you're at a Capital One lounge. They are building one someplace else. I want to say it's in Washington.
I'm making a prediction. I am calling it right now that once they open that Capital One lounge in Denver, I think that you should go and like only buy a refundable plane ticket. Don't even go anywhere.
She travels enough that she can go.
Okay, get to the airport 4 hours early and then spend 2 hours in the Capital One lounge, 2 hours in the Centurion lounge. And I want to hear what you think. And I am predicting that you're going to be a convert and that the Capital One Venture X is going to become your favorite card for lounge access.
You know, I did go to for just a few minutes in Dallas. And the food that they deliver and the way they present it was amazing. So cute. I absolutely did love it. And our American Express Centurion Lounges has gotten really busy. One thing I want to say is that in the past, people have been able to bring in 2 guests, but as of February, when this will air, you won't be able to bring in any guests for free with the into American Centurion Lounges, American Express Centurion Lounges. But a way around it, if you're interested, if that is the type of lounge you want to go to, is to add your spouse as an authorized user or just get them the card first so that you can get the points and then later add them as an authorized user for $175. My husband loves going into that lounge. He's not going to not go in there with me. So right now he has a couple Platinum Express business cards. With one didn't have any lifetime language on it. When we get rid of those, I will be paying the $175 because it will be worth it for him. So,
Can I just add something really quick? The nice thing about the Capital One lounges is you can bring in 2 guests, and then you can also add an authorized use. I mean, this is what it is at the time. Hopefully, they don't change this between now and when this airs, but you can bring in 2 guests And then you can also, an authorized user can also bring in 2 guests. So you can bring in your whole family potentially into a Capital One lounge, which is very generous.
And it's free to add authorized users with Capital One.
Yes. The
The
other
only
thing
thing I'd worry
learned-
about is that they're going to get too crowded and then they're going to start limiting like they did with the Amex Centurion lounges.
Yeah, which they could, but
Yeah.
until then, enjoy it all you can.
Exactly.
But another thing that I really like about the Capital One lounges, in addition to like their buffet style food, which is presented on individual plates, it's really cute. They also have a grab and go section. So if you're have a really short layover, but you're like, I need to grab a quick bite to eat, you can go in there and get some good snacks to take and leave. And I feel like everything there is has a very nice presentation and is on the healthier side. Like there's crackers with hummus and celery, or carrots and celery and hummus in cute little cups, and then apples with peanut butter, and just kind of nice presentation. So it feels like you're getting like good quality food instead of like gross airport food.
It's kind of like, to me, it's like a boutique presentation. It's a boutique
Yeah. Yeah.
airport lounge. It really is completely different. And it's super cute. I really like it. But
And I do think that the Platinum, so I think that the Amex Platinum makes sense for people who tend to travel alone or maybe with one other person who also has the Platinum or is an authorized user. I personally would not, like my daughter is picky. She doesn't really eat a lot of the food in the Centurion Lounge. And so, of course, I bring her in now because she's free, but like I would never pay to bring her as a guest into the Centurion Lounge. And so I don't know what I'm going to do yet as far as my access goes. Like I do fly solo enough that I think I could possibly justify it. But if you never fly solo, if you're always with your family, I think it's a hard sell to pay the $695 annual fee for the Platinum for lounge access.
yeah, if you're just using it for that, I use it for so many other things that it more than pays
And you
for
travel
itself.
solo
Yeah.
most of the time.
Right, right. So you can always go, if you're ever booking a business class seat, you have access to some amazing lounges too. One of my favorite is the United Polaris Lounge. It is, you can sit down and order a meal. They have cookie skillets that all 3 of us love. And so anytime you are traveling business or first class internationally, you're able to use some amazing lounges. But I think the take-home message is that airport lounges aren't available just for business class travelers or businessmen or whatever. Anybody can use a airport lounge to make your airport experience so much less stressful. You can enjoy it. You can save so much money on food and drinks. And you might as well get a card that comes with some airport lounge access. I think we should put a link to cards that come with airport access in the airport lounge access in the notes. What do you guys think?
If you want,
Sounds
if you're
perfect
going
to
to put
me.
that together, then I support it.
Well, yes,
Um,
I will, because I am a lover.
He's going to love writing that.
Also, the bathrooms are way nicer in lounges. That is one thing I appreciate. I am a little bit of a germaphobe, and the main airport bathrooms kind of gross me out. The lounge bathrooms are nice.
Agreed.
So-
Yes. Can I just say
Okay.
one last thing? One last thing about airport lounge access. If you're going to be visiting a United Polaris Lounge, which you can visit if you're flying United or a Star Alliance business class international flight, first thing you want to do when you get there, go up to the sit-down restaurant people and put your name on the list so you can get yourself a cookie skillet. That's literally-
Exactly.
'cause
They
there's
have an
usually-
amazing buffet, but the sit-down restaurant food is even better.
and
So
there's
get
always
yourself on
wait.
the list.
Yep. Okay. Next, we can go ahead. I just had to make sure we got that out there because I'm kind of obsessed with that cookie skillet. Okay, so Jess, tell us about global entry and how that all works.
Okay. So, global entry is the expedited customs screening for international travelers when you're entering the US. So, we talked about TSA precheck. That is for when you are leaving the US. You could be staying in the US, but it's on your departing flight. Global entry comes into play when you are arriving back to the US from abroad, and it is just an expedited customs screening. The nice thing about global entry is that it includes TSA PreCheck. So if you pay the $100 for global entry, you will also get TSA PreCheck. So in my mind, if you want PreCheck, it's a no-brainer to just go ahead and get global entry. All of the credit cards that come with these global entry or TSA PreCheck credits, the credit is for $100. So if you do TSA PreCheck, you're only going to get $78 worth, whereas if you do global entry, you will get the full $100 credit back, and you will also get PreCheck in the process. The only negative of global entry is that it is currently very difficult to get an appointment to be approved for global entry. I have heard that wait times are currently like 4 to 6 months. So, if you need your pre-check very soon, then you may not want to wait to try and snag a global entry appointment. I've heard that there are services like alerting services that you can use that will send you a text when an appointment opens up. But yeah, if you need it soon, you may not want to wait for one of those to open up.
Sometimes you also can get it when you're arriving back from your trip abroad. That's how
Yeah.
I got it. But it very much is dependent on how busy they are and how they're feeling that day. So what I had done is I did the application process online, and then when I was coming home from Mexico, actually one time, I asked the border patrol officer if
Yeah.
I could do my interview, and he kind of was like, okay, I guess we have time. So if you get lucky, then you can always try to do that too, and then you might get it a little bit sooner, and yeah, could work out.
Yeah, I will say though, if you have zero plans to ever travel internationally, then yeah, maybe global entry may not make sense because it is purely for re-entering the US from abroad. But we got back last week from an international trip, and in the global entry line, there were 3 people ahead of us, and in the main line, there were hundreds of people. I actually sent Alex a video because I was like, I've never seen it this bad before. And I was thanking my lucky stars that I had global entry in that moment. So I'm a huge proponent of global entry. It's just the current wait times that are like giving me pause on fully being on board with recommending it at this time.
You
So
know,
I think it's just going to depend on like how soon you need it.
exactly. And global entry, and I told you my story about my husband. Well, he can't get global entry either until he gets a name change. So we were coming one time back from Turks and Caicos, and it came our first airport into the United States was Chicago. And when we got there, the line was horrid. And we realized that not only was the line horrid, you had to get on a shuttle to get into the next terminal that we were going to take out of, fly out of. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? I have global entry. I was through so fast. And my husband was way, way back in the line. And I thought, there's no way he's going to make it. And I said, well, I will get the get you on another flight, and I'll pick you up later. And I just figured that it was just not going to happen. And they were just ready to close the door of the plane. And I'd been situated for quite a while, and he somehow got on. So global entry saves so much time. I've done the same thing with friends who haven't had it, and I've had it, and I'm sitting there twiddling my thumb, waiting for them to get through. So huge time saver when you're coming back into the country.
One thing that is different about global entry is that every single person who's traveling has to have it. So that differs from pre-check. Like we said, children 12 and under can go free as long as they're traveling with a parent or a guardian who has pre-check. It's not the same for global entry. If you have like a 2-month-old baby they still have to go in for their global entry interview. I cannot imagine what is said during that interview, but if you have an infant, they still have to have an interview. So that's just something to keep in mind. It would be $100 per person, and it's good for 5 years. So if you have multiple of those credit cards that come with the credits, that's a good way to kind of spread them out amongst your family. If, you could cover multiple people if you have multiple cards. But again, $100 per person with global entry, regardless of age.
I don't know about you guys, but I used to hate the day that I would travel. I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get to my destination, but I have to go through that horrible day of traveling where I have to stand in line, or, coming back into the United States, I have to go through customs. It's going to take me forever. It almost ruined my experience." But using some of these benefits that come with some of the credit cards that we have, that you may already have or that you may be interested in getting, has made my airport experience much less stressful. I actually enjoy my airport experience now because it's kind of a game to see how fast I can get through. And I just feel a little bit proud of the whole way that I'm able to make it enjoyable and much faster than some of the people that I see. Sometimes I'll be in line and I'll be in line by someone I'm in TSA precheck and clear, and I'm looking at the person who's over on the other end that isn't. And I just want to see how much faster, how far I can get ahead of them. I'll pick out one person. That was even like
That's where I get my competitive. That's right. That's where I get my competitive TSA pre-check stuff from, Mom. It's from you.
Exactly. But we hope you've really enjoyed listening to this episode about how to get through the airport quicker. We hope that you found some ways that you can make your travel through the airport less stressful. If you would like to get some of the cards that we've been talking about that offer these benefits, we will put a list in the show notes of our best cards page, and you can find the links to all of our favorite cards. Happy traveling.
Thanks so much for listening to the Travel Hacking Mom Show. Make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button from wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Want to start jet setting even faster? Follow the links in the show notes to learn about everything we discussed in today's episode. And to stay connected and follow along, follow us on Instagram at Travel Hacking Mom. We can't wait to see where in the world Points and Miles take you.